property insurance rates are on the rise again.
Florida car insurance outpaced the national average by almost double last year.
The latest report from the Florida Office of Insurance Regulation is sounding the alarm this hurricane season.
Did you know that Florida is now one of the most powerful and wealthiest states in America? More than 22 million people live here. That makes it the third most populated state in the country. Only California and Texas are bigger. Every year, more families move to Florida looking for sunshine, safety, and freedom. Some come to retire, others come to work and build a new life. Florida continues to grow faster than many states on the East Coast. The economy is booming. In 2024, Florida's GDP passed $1.6 trillion. That puts the state on the same level as entire countries like Spain, Australia, and South Korea. On the surface, Florida looks like a perfect place to live, but something is shifting under the surface. A growing insurance crisis is forcing people out of their homes. Condo owners face massive bills and dangerous repairs. Many families can no longer afford to stay. The real estate market is showing real signs of strain. Coastal home values could drop by as much as 15% by 2030 because of rising flood risk and sea levels. Scientists warn that sea levels on Florida's Gulf and Atlantic coasts could rise by up to 18 inches by 2050. If that happens, millions of homes may face chronic flooding. Higher insurance costs could make mortgages impossible for many. Some experts predict a wave of forced moves or state buyouts in low-lying areas. Is Florida still the paradise it claims to be, or is the sunshine starting to burn? Let's take a closer look at the stories that are changing the Sunshine State. But before we start, here's a little question to entertain you. Which dessert is the official state pie of Florida? A. Orange cream cheesecake. B. Mango tart. C. Key lime pie. D. Pineapple upside-down cake. Share your opinion in the comments and patiently watch this video till the end to find out the truth. Insurance nightmare. Florida was never meant to be easy. Much of the state was once considered uninhabitable swampland. Developers drained the wetlands, built canals, and sold the dream of paradise to millions. What began as a bold experiment turned into one of the fastest-growing states in America. For decades, owning a home in Florida was affordable and predictable. Insurance premiums were modest and storms were rare. Families felt safe building their futures here. But over the past 20 years, this piece has unraveled. From 2000 to 2024, Florida's population grew by around 7.3 million new residents. In 2023 and 2024 alone, nearly 360,000 people moved in. New neighborhoods spread across the state, especially near the coast. As more homes were built, risks increased. In 2024, the average home insurance premium in Florida rose above $6,000 per year. That is nearly 3 times higher than in Texas or California, and more than double the average in New York. In some flood-prone counties, rates have reached $10,000 annually or more. For many families, insurance now costs more than their mortgage. The reasons are layered. First, there is the weather. Florida faces a higher risk of hurricanes than any other state. Flooding, erosion, and sinkholes add to the damage. As storms grow stronger and payouts increase, insurers either raise prices or leave. More than a dozen major insurance providers have exited Florida in recent years. Second, there is legal abuse and fraud. In Pasco County, a roofing contractor was arrested for filing false claims worth more than $40,000. After Hurricane Ian, internal documents showed that insurance companies had slashed damage estimates by up to 98% to reduce payouts. At one point, Florida accounted for more than 75% of all property insurance lawsuits in the entire United States. This pressure broke the market. Many homeowners were pushed onto Citizens Property Insurance, the state-run insurer of last resort. Citizens now covers more than 1.3 million policies. But even Citizens is raising rates, and it may not have enough funds to cover claims if a major storm hits. The state government has responded. In 2022 and 2023, new laws were passed to limit attorney fees, stop abusive lawsuits, and attract new insurers. Some experts believe these changes are helping slowly stabilize the market, but most homeowners have yet to see real relief. For many, premiums continue to rise every year. This crisis is changing Florida. Seniors on fixed incomes are being priced out of their homes. Middle-class families are moving inland or out of state. Even wealthier homeowners are thinking twice. Florida still offers sun and palm trees, but peace of mind is slipping away. How long have you lived in Florida? How have your insurance bills changed over time? Tell us your story in the comments. Before we continue, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And now, let's dive in. Condo Crisis. For many years, Florida condos were marketed as the perfect retirement option. They offered ocean views, low maintenance, and tight-knit communities. Retirees from the Northeast and Midwest flocked to buildings built in the 1970s and 80s, drawn by low costs and sunshine. But that peaceful image has started to crack. But in 2021, part of the Champlain Towers South Condo in Surfside collapsed without warning. The 12-story beachfront building crumbled while people were sleeping. It was one of the deadliest building failures in U.S. history. In response, the state quickly passed new safety laws. Now, any condo building over 30 years old must undergo detailed structural inspections and start saving for major repairs. There are over 900,000 condo units in Florida that fall under these rules. Most of them were never prepared for this level of scrutiny or expense. Some assessments have shocked residents. In one Miami high-rise, owners were told to pay over $140,000 each towards structural repairs. In another case in Orlando, families in modest two-bedroom units were charged $22,000. These are not luxury buildings. These buildings now face harsh realities. To meet new laws, many condo associations have hiked their monthly dues. In some cases, HOA fees have jumped by 50 to 60% in just 1 year. Reserve funds must be built quickly, or buildings face fines and legal action. Those who cannot pay may lose their homes. In some areas, foreclosures by condo boards have already begun. Older buildings, once seen as bargains, now come with red flags. Many are located in prime areas, but their price tags are dropping fast. Some units have lost up to 40% of their value. Others sit unsold for months. Sellers try to escape before the next inspection. At the same time, safety concerns are rising. Engineers are finding cracked foundations, rusted steel, and years of ignored maintenance. Some buildings have been forced to evacuate entire floors. Residents are told to leave on short notice with no return date. Florida's condo boom began in the 1960s when builders rushed to meet retiree demand. High-rises sprung up quickly, often built cheaply. For decades, little attention was paid to long-term maintenance. Boards kept fees low to avoid complaints. But time, salt air, and humidity took a toll. The consequences are finally catching up. The crisis also spills into the rental market. Many owners who can't afford assessments are trying to rent out units to cover the cost. This has caused tension in once quiet buildings. More tenants bring more wear, and aging systems are pushed even harder. Do you live in a Florida condo? Have your fees or repairs changed recently? Share it in the comments. Our team needs your help. Subscribe to our channel to help more people learn the truth about current events. And now, we move on. Jimmy Buffett. Think Florida, and someone will eventually bring up Margaritaville. But for many locals, Jimmy Buffett was more than just the man behind a catchy song. He was a lifestyle, a symbol of laid-back coastal living, and a musical icon who turned beach nostalgia into an empire. Jimmy Buffett was born on Christmas Day 1946 in Pascagoula, Mississippi, but Florida eventually became his true home. He moved to Key West in the early 1970s, drawn by its tropical charm and eccentric characters. That is where his signature sound was born, a mix of country, folk, and island vibes he called Gulf and Western. His breakthrough came with the 1977 hit Margaritaville, a song that captured the spirit of carefree beach life. It stayed on the charts for months and became his signature anthem. Buffett's career spanned more than 5 decades. He released over 30 albums, including fan favorites like Changes in Latitudes, Changes in Attitudes, and Son of a Sailor. He was nominated for 2 Grammy Awards and became one of the most successful touring musicians in America. His final tour in 2017 played to packed arenas across the country. The last show at the Hollywood Bowl was a heartfelt farewell that left fans in tears. Off the stage, Buffett built a business empire. Margaritaville became a brand with hotels, restaurants, casinos, and even retirement communities across the country. The first Margaritaville Cafe opened in Key West in 1985. Today, there are more than 30 locations worldwide, each one soaked in Buffett's laid-back philosophy. He also wrote best-selling novels and appeared in movies and television shows, often playing himself or characters based on his beach-loving persona. In his personal life, Buffett was married to Jane Slagsvold for more than 40 years. They had 3 children and lived in various homes throughout Florida and the Caribbean. Despite his relaxed public image, Buffett was a highly disciplined businessman. Early in life, he struggled with addiction, but he later embraced fitness and healthy routines. Politically, he leaned liberal and supported environmental causes, veteran services, and hurricane recovery efforts in the Gulf Coast region. In 2023, Buffett passed away after a private fight with a rare form of skin cancer. He kept recording and touring almost until the very end, showing the same joy and spirit that defined his legacy. Across Florida, people mourned him in bars, on beaches, and even in the halls of government, proving that he was more than a celebrity. He was a piece of Florida's cultural soul. So tell us, what is your favorite Jimmy Buffett song, and do you think Margaritaville is just a brand or something much deeper? Now please take a moment to hit that like button. It's a small action, but it helps YouTube's algorithm promote our videos to a wider audience. Affordability collapse. Florida used to be one of the most affordable states to live in. For decades, retirees from the Midwest and Northeast moved south for the warm climate and low taxes. Cities like Tampa and Sarasota offered beachside living at a fraction of California or New York prices. But in recent years, everything has changed. Between 2020 and 2024, Florida added over 1.4 million new residents. Many of them came from states like New York, California, and Illinois. They brought cash, remote jobs, and high expectations. That demand drove housing prices through the roof. In 2020, the median home price in Florida was around $270,000. By 2024, it reached nearly $410,000. In cities like Miami and Naples, the median price crossed $600,000. Rents followed the same path. Average monthly rent in Florida rose from about $250 in 2019 to over $1,900 by 2024. For many locals, wages did not grow nearly as fast. While the newcomers saw Florida as a bargain, longtime residents found themselves priced out of their own communities. Teachers, nurses, and service workers began commuting longer distances or leaving the state altogether. Affordable housing projects have failed to keep pace, and mobile home parks have been bought out and demolished to build luxury condos. But the price spike is not just about demand. Investors played a major role. Hedge funds and real estate firms bought thousands of homes, especially in Orlando and Jacksonville. In some neighborhoods, over 20% of homes are now owned by corporate landlords. They raise rents, add fees, and rarely negotiate. Locals also worry about something else. Many of the people moving in come from California. In conservative circles, that sparks fear. There is a growing belief that these transplants could shift the political balance. Florida has long been a Republican stronghold, but if enough newcomers vote blue, will the state turn purple or even flip? In places like St. Petersburg and Broward County, you can already see the tension. Yard signs, school board elections, and local policies show how deep the divide is becoming. Even small towns feel the pressure as more upscale developments replace what used to be quiet neighborhoods. At the same time, food, gas, and utility costs are also rising. Property taxes remain low, but insurance premiums and HOA fees are eroding the savings people once expected in Florida. For many retirees, the dream is becoming harder to afford. So let us ask you this: have you noticed your cost of living rising in Florida? Do you think the influx of new residents is helping or hurting your community? Tell us what you see in the comments. Share this video on X to help us grow. Every share counts. No president. Did you know that Florida has never produced a U.S. president? It is one of the largest and most influential states in the country, yet not a single commander-in-chief was born here. By contrast, states like Virginia and Ohio have produced a combined 20 presidents. Even small states like Vermont and Nebraska have at least one to claim. So why not Florida? Part of the reason is historical. Florida joined the United States in 1845 and remained mostly rural and undeveloped well into the 20th century. During the Civil War, Florida sided with the Confederacy and was dominated by pro-slavery Democrats. After the war, political power shifted back and forth, but Florida remained a relatively quiet agricultural state for decades. It was not until the post-war boom, air conditioning, and the rise of tourism that Florida's population exploded. By then, other states had already built their dynasties of political elites. For a long time, Florida was considered a swing state. It played a decisive role in the 2000 presidential election. But over the past decade, it has moved steadily to the right. Today, it is considered one of the strongholds of the Republican Party. However, that may be changing. Two of the most controversial and powerful Republican figures in modern politics now call Florida home. Donald Trump officially changed his residency to Florida in 2019, making Mar-a-Lago and Palm Beach his primary residence. His rallies across the state still draw tens of thousands. He is viewed by many locals as the voice of working-class America. Even though he was born in New York and spent much of his life in the world of real estate and television. Then there's Ron DeSantis, the current governor. Born in Jacksonville, raised in Dunedin, and a Navy veteran, DeSantis built his national reputation by turning Florida into what some call the laboratory of conservative governance. From opposing lockdowns to battling school boards and taking on Disney, he has become a cultural warrior for the right. In 2024, he ran for president himself, but lost in the primaries to Trump. Despite that, many believe he is still a leading candidate for the future. Both men are Republicans, but they represent very different styles of leadership. Trump is brash, improvisational, and thrives on media drama. DeSantis is calculated, disciplined, and prefers legal fights over fiery speeches. Trump built his base through personality and showmanship, while DeSantis earned respect among conservatives by passing strict laws and pushing reforms in education and healthcare. Despite their differences, both have reshaped Florida's political image. Once a quiet peninsula of oranges and retirees, it is now a launching pad for national power. Who do you prefer more, Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis? And are there other famous Floridians you would like to see in the White House someday? Let us know in the comments. Tom Petty. Who do you think is the most famous musician from Florida? Some might say Pitbull, but a true Floridian will name Tom Petty without hesitation. Tom Petty was born in Gainesville in 1950. His obsession with music began after he met Elvis Presley at age 10 during a film shoot in Ocala. That single encounter changed everything. By high school, Petty had joined his first bands and decided to chase a career in music. In the 1970s, he formed Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Their 1976 debut album produced the hit Breakdown and made them a national name. But even that first step was not easy. At his first demo session, executives at Shelter Records hesitated to sign him. They thought his voice was too nasal and rough. Petty refused to change it. That same voice later became his trademark, instantly recognizable and impossible to imitate. He soon became a symbol of Southern rock, mixing sharp lyrics with a raw, emotional tone. His solo album Full Moon Fever came in 1989. It featured Free Fallin', I Won't Back Down, and Runnin' Down a Dream. These tracks became American radio anthems and defined a generation. Petty also joined the Traveling Wilburys, a supergroup that included George Harrison, Bob Dylan, Roy Orbison, and Jeff Lynne. Petty never served in the military. He came of age during the Vietnam War but avoided the draft. He later spoke about how that war deeply affected his generation. In his music and interviews, he expressed skepticism toward political power. He stood against corporate control of the music industry and once sued his own record label to keep album prices fair for fans. Despite his fame, he lived a relatively private life. He was married twice and had 2 daughters. For many years, he lived in Encino, California, but never lost his connection to Florida. Gainesville remained close to his heart. After his death, the city renamed a park in his honor. Behind the success, Petty struggled with addiction. In the 1990s, he battled heroin dependency, a fact he later admitted in interviews. He also survived a house fire in 1987 that destroyed much of his home. Despite these personal setbacks, he remained active in music and kept touring for decades. In 2017, he launched his 40th anniversary tour. It covered the biggest arenas in the United States. His final performance was at the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles, just 1 week before his death. Fans described the show as a powerful farewell, though no one knew it at the time. Tom Petty died from an accidental overdose at age 66. His passing triggered candlelight vigils across Florida. Radio stations played his hits for days. To this day, his music echoes across the state he always called home. So we ask you, what is your favorite Tom Petty track and what memory does it bring back? Tell us in the comments. Heat and bugs. Before Florida became a retirement paradise, it was mostly seen as uninhabitable swampland. The early settlers battled heat, humidity, and endless mosquitoes. Even in the 20th century, many parts of the state were considered too harsh for year-round living. But air conditioning changed everything. Once homes and cars could stay cool, Florida became livable and desirable. Still, the climate has never been easy. Florida ranks among the hottest and most humid states in the country. In the summer, heat indexes regularly climb above 105 degrees. Humidity often stays above 70% for weeks at a time. Even in winter, parts of South Florida feel like a steam room. For newcomers, the intensity comes as a shock. Many expect sunny beaches and mild breezes. What they get is sweating through their shirt at 9 a.m., sunglasses fogging up instantly, and afternoon thunderstorms that leave behind swarms of biting insects. The constant dampness invites mold, mildew, and rust. It seeps into cars, homes, and clothing. Then come the bugs. Florida is home to over 80 species of mosquitoes. Some carry diseases like West Nile virus and dengue fever. After heavy rains, they can fill entire neighborhoods. The state sprays insecticides, but outbreaks still happen. The heat also brings giant palmetto bugs. These are roaches that fly, often straight into your face. They crawl through vents, drains, and even toilets. No home is truly bug-free in Florida. Snakes are another part of daily life. Over 40 species slither through the state, including venomous ones like the cottonmouth and eastern diamondback rattlesnake. Pest control companies stay busy year-round handling both insects and reptiles, and if you live near water, you also have to watch out for alligators. They wander into backyards, golf courses, and sometimes even homes. Florida reports dozens of gator attacks every year. The heat takes a toll on people too. Heat stroke and dehydration are constant risks, especially for seniors. Air conditioning bills soar during the summer. Blackouts and brownouts are becoming more common as the power grid struggles to keep up. Outdoor workers like landscapers and roofers face dangerous conditions for months at a time. Despite all this, many residents stay because they love the Florida lifestyle. But some quietly admit they spend more and more time indoors. Others talk about moving back north. The question is whether Florida's environment is becoming too extreme for comfort. From which state did you move to Florida? And how are you dealing with the heat, humidity, and bugs? Let us know in the comments. Vanishing Nature. You might picture Florida as endless beaches and palm trees, but there is much more beneath the surface. The state was once covered in swamps, pine flatwoods, and wild wetlands. It was home to panthers, black bears, and millions of wading birds. In the 20th century, canals, roads, and housing turned much of that wilderness into suburbs and farmland. The Florida panther is now critically endangered, with fewer than 200 left in the wild. Manatees struggle to survive as algae blooms fueled by pollution destroy the seagrass they eat. Since 2020, manatee die-offs have reached record numbers. Entire coastal areas, once thriving ecosystems, now face fish kills and brown tides. More than 50% of Florida's wetlands have been drained or developed. This has not only harmed wildlife, but also made flooding worse. Wetlands used to absorb water like a sponge. Without them, stormwater rushes into cities and carries pollution into rivers and bays. South Florida is losing mangroves at an alarming rate. These tangled trees protect coastlines from storm surge and provide nurseries for fish. But construction, seawalls, and boat traffic are carving them away. In Miami-Dade County, scientists estimate mangrove coverage has dropped by nearly 20% in 2 decades. The famous Everglades are also shrinking. This unique ecosystem once spanned over 11,000 square miles. Now, more than half is gone or severely damaged. Billion-dollar restoration projects are underway, but progress is slow and political will comes and goes. Without bold action, the Everglades may become a memory. The danger is not just for animals. As nature disappears, so does Florida's natural defense system. Less wetlands means more floods. Fewer mangroves means more storm damage. Dirty water means fewer fish and poisoned beaches. The state's economic future is tied to what happens in its wild places. Florida's population continues to grow. New homes, roads, and businesses keep eating into green space. Some cities are trying to limit sprawl and protect green corridors, but local resistance and weak enforcement stall progress. Conservation groups warn that if current trends continue, key habitats will vanish within decades. Did you grow up in a wilder Florida? What changes have you seen in your own county or neighborhood? Let us know in the comments. Are we losing something we'll never get back? Divided by politics. Florida used to be known for beaches, oranges, and theme parks, but in recent years, it has become one of the most politically divided states in America. The population boom has brought millions of new residents, many of them from deeply partisan states like California, New York, and Texas. And they have not left their opinions behind. Some newcomers moved to Florida for lower taxes and fewer regulations. Many of these people lean conservative and vote Republican. Others came to escape rising costs and crime in large cities, but still carry liberal values. This collision of worldviews is reshaping Florida's identity county by county. In the 1990s and early 2000s, Florida was considered the ultimate swing state. The 2000 presidential election was decided here by just 537 votes, but that balance is slipping. In 2022, registered Republicans officially outnumbered Democrats for the first time in modern Florida history, and the gap has continued to widen. Despite this shift, blue counties like Miami-Dade, Broward, and Orange still hold strong. These urban centers vote heavily Democrat and drive progressive policies, but they are surrounded by vast red regions where conservative voters dominate. The culture clash between coastal liberals and inland conservatives is not just about party. It touches schools, immigration, LGBTQ rights, climate policy, and even COVID-era rules. Some school boards now ban books over gender content. Other districts push back, calling those moves censorship. In rural areas, people praise Governor DeSantis for defending traditional values. In liberal pockets, residents organize protests and lawsuits against state policies. Tensions have reached school board meetings, city councils, and even neighborhood Facebook groups. Florida is now a testing ground for national politics. Issues like abortion, immigration, and education are debated here with national attention. Politicians use Florida to launch campaigns, test messages, and build media narratives. The country is watching, and so are millions of Floridians caught in the middle. The divide is not just between parties, it is also between generations. Younger voters tend to lean left, especially on social issues. Older residents, many of whom move to Florida to retire, tend to vote right. These generational gaps are felt in everything from housing policy to COVID rules. Many longtime Floridians feel like their state is changing too fast. Others feel like they finally have a voice after years of being ignored. What is certain is that the debate over Florida's future is far from over. Have you noticed your neighborhood becoming more divided? Are the newcomers changing local politics where you live? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. Now it's time to find out the correct answer to the quiz. Which dessert is the official state pie of Florida? A. Orange cream cheesecake. B. Mango tart. C. Key lime pie. D. Pineapple upside-down cake. The correct answer is C. Key lime pie. Symbols of Florida. Every state has its icons, but Florida's symbols go beyond postcards and souvenirs. The orange, the alligator, the panther, the flamingo, and even a dessert like key lime pie reflect the spirit of the Sunshine State. Each one tells a story not just of nature or tradition, but of survival, reinvention, and identity in a place that is constantly changing. Take the orange. For much of the 20th century, Florida dominated citrus production in the United States. At its peak in the 1990s, the state produced over 200 million boxes of oranges a year. Orange juice from Florida became a national breakfast staple. But then came citrus greening, a bacterial disease that stunts fruit growth and kills trees. Since its arrival in 2005, it has devastated groves. Today, Florida produces less than 20% of what it did a generation ago. Many orchards now stand abandoned or have been cleared for housing. The Florida panther, declared the state animal in 1982, is another symbol with a complex past. In the 1970s, fewer than 30 of these cats remained in the wild. They were isolated in the southern tip of the state, and their numbers were dropping fast. Conservation efforts, including the introduction of genetic stock from Texas, helped the population recover. As of 2024, about 200 panthers live in the wild. Still, they face constant threats from traffic and shrinking habitats. Dozens are killed by vehicles every year. The American alligator was once nearly extinct due to hunting and habitat destruction, but it made an extraordinary comeback. By the 1980s, it had been removed from the endangered species list. Today, over 1 million alligators live across Florida, yet their success creates new risks. As housing spreads into wetlands, more people encounter gators. In 2023 alone, more than 8,000 nuisance alligators were removed from residential areas. Then there is the flamingo. Once believed to be only exotic visitors from the Caribbean, wild flamingos were actually native to Florida. They were hunted heavily for their feathers and nearly wiped out by the early 1900s. But in recent years, sightings in the Everglades and other wetlands show they may be making a slow return. For many Floridians, flamingos represent the hope that some lost pieces of nature can still come back. And of course, no symbol stirs more debate or appetite than key lime pie. Named after the small tart limes that grow in the Florida Keys, this dessert has become a source of statewide pride. Its roots go back to the early 20th century, when people without refrigeration used canned milk and lime juice to create a simple no-bake pie. In 2006, the Florida legislature made key lime pie the official state pie. Today, it is served in restaurants from Pensacola to Key West. The pale yellow filling, graham cracker crust, and whipped topping make it instantly recognizable. These symbols are not just decorative. They reflect what Florida once was, what it still values, and what it is in danger of losing. As the state continues to grow, it faces the challenge of preserving what makes it special. Which of Florida's symbols do you connect with most? And what do you think the state should do to protect what makes it unique? Thank you for exploring the hidden corners of Florida with us. Click on the video you see on the screen to check out other hidden discoveries on our channel.